Rodgers and Joe Flacco are set to become just the second pair of 40-year-old opposing quarterbacks to start against one another in NFL history. The Steelers sit at 4-1 and are the favorites to win the division at -160. The Ravens have only one win this season, but have the second shortest odds to win the AFC North, with the Bengals and Browns being long shots. What's on the line for the Steelers tonight? That is the question. Who needs to have a bigger game, DK Metcalf or Jamar Chase? Who is it, man?
I'm going to say DK Metcalf, and it's because the Steelers and the way that they've built their pass game, it's a little bit, I've called it like creatively cautious, where they'll move Rodgers a little bit, but it's, hey, DK, we want to get the ball into your hands, and so they run kind of traditionally, historically, like simple concepts. He leads the NFL in yards after the catch, 224 yards after the catch with wide receiver, or DK one-on-one. And then it's a little bit like Rodgers, move the pocket, play action, find the tight end. And so as great as Jamar is, the Steelers, and I see why they make the trade, because there's so much of DK, go be the focal point of the pass game, go dominate, which he has done, and then our offense has rhythm, it has big play explosiveness to it. I say DK Metcalf.
What about you, RC?
Now, I say Jamar Chase, and I think when you think about DK Metcalf, you're thinking of the entire picture, right? How does DK Metcalf playing well in this game sort of push the Pittsburgh Steelers forward as we're talking about this AFC North picture? But if you watch the second half against the Green Bay Packers, Jamar Chase was everywhere. Jamar Chase felt like the Triple Crown winner. There were 3 separate occasions where we watched him go one-on-one and Joe Flacco just give him a chance to make plays, and he did that on Keyshawn Nixon. And so I'm expecting for Jamar Chase to be the focal point of this offense, as it was supposed to be when we came into this season. And Joe Flacco found a way to get comfortable in the second half. We watched Zach Taylor open up in the second half against the Green Bay Packers. And for people who didn't watch that game or see that film, that game was extremely close in the fourth quarter to the Green Bay Packers were able to put some distance between themselves and the Cincinnati Bengals. And it was because of Jamar Chase being able to win in one-on-ones, Jamar Chase on third down. And so for me, if this game is going to be close in any way, if the Cincinnati Bengals are going to have any sort of chance, Jamar Chase has to have one of those days we watched him have last year, where he was showing everyone in the world he was the most valuable non-quarterback on the offensive side of the football.
I totally agree with RC, and I think it's necessary because, listen, I think that's the only hope the Cincinnati Bengals have. Their defense isn't great offensively. It is about Jamar Chase because he helps get T. Higgins off and others as well. If he's flowing, then you got to worry about him. Obviously, you got to preoccupy yourself with him, and that leaves opportunities open for other people. And if you're Joe Flacco, who's immobile, you don't have to worry about him scrambling. You're going to really need to rely on Jamar Chase and others to step up in order for this to be successful. Go ahead, Dan.
Well, here's my pushback to it. Okay, if DK Metcalf doesn't impact the game the way that he has for most of this season, this game will be close because he's such an integral part of their offense. I talked to the Steelers don't do a ton. They'll put 6 offensive linemen on the field. You'll see that and hear that a ton tonight. Darnell Washington will be the tight end, and they'll do a bunch out of it. But the reason they've been explosive, the reason they've scored points is because DK. So if DK doesn't dominate tonight, this game will be close. Whereas the Bengals still have T. Higgins. Like, Jamar's going to be impactful. He's sensational. But if, like, the Steelers take away Jamar Chase, T. Higgins can still hurt you. T. Higgins can still keep you in the game. Metcalf is the focal point of that offense. And also, being realistic, the Bengals keep it closer. The Bengals find a way to win tonight. Does it really change our prospect on them?
Well, that's true. That's true. And that gets me to another question, which is the obvious one. That was just a warm-up question. Very, very good on both of you, Portia. I wanted to test to see if y'all were ready to roll. Because
ready.
Sometimes, man, I don't know.
Thank you.
I don't know about it. So I had to make sure y'all was ready to roll.
Thank you for testing us and making sure we're TV ready finally, Stephen A.
That's right.
We needed you to come on this show and host in order to make sure we understood
This is not a day for you to clap back at me with that background of yours. It's not the day to do it, RC. Not the day to do it.
Looks like a coloring book.
Steelers Nation, this is the moment we've been waiting for. And I'm not here to give you fluff. I'm here to talk about a real move that could tip the scales of the AFC and give our Steelers a legit shot at the Super Bowl. I'm talking about one name. Just one. Chris Olave. That's right. The rising star wide receiver from the New Orleans Saints is officially on the radar, and Pittsburgh should be all over it. ESPN analyst Dan Orlovsky laid it down this week. He said it plain and simple. If the Steelers beat the Bengals, the division race is practically over. And if we're truly serious about chasing a Lombardi this year, we can't be content with just coasting into the playoffs. No, we need firepower. We need explosion. We need Chris Olave. Now let's break this down. Olave isn't some washed-up vet or unreliable gamble. This is a game-breaking receiver who's already shown he can torch secondaries at the NFL level. He's fast, fluid, a crisp route runner, and he brings that elite burst after the catch that the Steelers have been lacking since trading away George Pickens. He's not just a possession guy, he's a home run threat. Here's the kicker. Chris Olave's trade value is actually manageable right now. Unlike Garrett Wilson, who just signed a massive extension and would cost a fortune, Olave's contract is still team-friendly. Plus, he's due for an extension soon, which lowers his trade value just enough for Omar Khan to pick up the phone and make a serious offer. That's the kind of smart, calculated deal the Steelers front office is known for. And let's be real, Olave's current situation in New Orleans isn't exactly ideal. That team is struggling. He needs a change of scenery, and Pittsburgh offers everything he could want. A Hall of Fame caliber quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, a chance to compete for a championship, and a city that breathes football. Imagine Olave and DK Metcalf on opposite sides of the field. Imagine Aaron Rodgers with two legitimate weapons. If you're a defensive coordinator in the AFC, you're panicking just thinking about it. Now, of course, there's always risk. Injuries have nipped at Olave's career so far, but that's exactly why he's gettable. And you better believe this coaching staff, this training staff, and this Steelers culture can bring out the best in him. Tomlin doesn't let young stars coast. He molds them into killers on the field. Let me say this loud and clear for anyone doubting the move. Chris Olave is not just a nice addition. He's a difference maker. If the Steelers want to beat the Chiefs, if they want to outgun the Bills, they can't show up with one elite receiver and hope for the best. They need to stack the deck, and Olave stacks it in a big way. So now we turn to the front office. Omar Khan, the ball is in your court. You've done a masterful job rebuilding this roster. You brought in Rodgers, you stole Metcalf, you gave us a defense that's terrorizing quarterbacks again. Finish the job. Get us Chris Olave, and let's go win a Super Bowl. Steelers fans, what do you think? Are you ready to see Olave in black and gold? Do you believe we're one trade away from taking the AFC by storm? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to hit that like button if you're fired up about the possibility. And if you're new here, subscribe now to Steelers Nation Wire, because we're bringing you real news, real passion, and real Steelers football every single week. Let's get it. Let's stay hungry, and let's bring that Lombardi home where it belongs. Go Steelers!